Hello, Taurus Rising. Welcome to Scopes Unshamed for May 2026. How are you? Before we dive in, I want to just suggest to you that you go back and listen to April because, for my part, I feel like I learn so much about being with astrology when I look backwards because now you actually have evidence of what happened. And so, if you haven't listened to it recently, I invite you to stop listening here and go back and listen to April so you can really be with like, where am I now? Where am I now that I just experienced April? And with the guidance that I shared with you there. Then come back in here. So, hey, welcome back. And let's look at May here. Big shifts. Big shifts here. Okay. First of all, we begin with a full moon and we end with a full moon. This is really fun. This doesn't happen all the time. May 1 and May 31, we both are both full moons. So there's like big energy starting and ending the month. At the beginning of the month, I think that you will find that there are a lot of themes coming up around your relationship between who you are, where you're going, like what is your path that you're on? Like you is about you and the relativity of you in the face of your one-on-one relationships. I don't mean your fate, your how everybody else might see you. I mean the people that you're in one-on-one relationships with, like romantic relationship, deep friendship, business partner, the people that you are in a relationship with where you would say that there's kind of like a contract, like a set of agreements of like, I'm bringing this and you're bringing that. Sometimes those agreements are legal and they are definitely energetic, where we kind of agree to these things. So at the beginning of the month, you may feel like this deep flowering of how wherever you're going, you're always going to be bumping up against how your relationships shift in the you going where you're going and your various partners needing to be updated about who you are now. And how one of the hardest things in life is updating contracts with our loved ones. Um, This is why relationships sometimes feel very confining and we can get really frustrated inside them as we're like feeling the oldness of the agreements, feeling like we don't want it to be like that anymore. Feeling like the agreement, we made like an agreement to be a certain way in the relationship, and that's not true anymore about the way we interact with life. And so, periodically with our relationships, it's really powerful to update them into present time, is what I would say, where we, even just energetically and not even verbally, really show up in the fullness of who we are now, letting someone know what we're agreeing to and what we're not agreeing to in the ways that we relate with one another. And, astrology often can provide the little windows of time where we realize, oh, I think I need an update. Like, I need an update. Now, not all updates are endings. Sometimes the update that's needed is an ending, but often just the update is like, I want to be in this relationship as who I am now. And I want you to be who you are now in this relationship. Let's be together as we're who we're growing into being emergently now. And this is frightening because we've all experienced partnerships where the other person is not interested in where we're going. They're not interested in this emergence. It was working great for them. And to the degree that you may have had um, disappointment in those processes in your past, you may also feel a kind of resistance to being in present time with your partners. So Those types of things may be really up, and they're really here to help you create an environment, an ecosystem of your life, of your relationships, so you can be authentic to who you are today. Because we are so deeply affected by the people that we bring into one on one relationships with. When we get into the one on one space, it's intimate and we are changed and mutated by these individuals, you know? So it's important for those contracts to stay updated to present time. And this is going to be a full moon that invites you to notice what would feel good, like what would feel good to update. How do you want to show up in them? What do you want to receive in return? Are you listening to who your partners are telling you who they are now? How available are you to the changes of your partner? And some of those things may involve some deep feeling. And of course they do. Our relationships bring up the most intense feelings. And so this full moon is like really tapping at all of that. And it really just wants to be honored. It really wants to like flow over and help you see something of the truth of who you are now and what you're wanting from your relationships. Yeah. So the energy is moving pretty fast still this month. It may feel like time's flying in many ways. But meanwhile, each day you are very present to who am I and who am I not? And what are like the edges of my self formation and my self creation that are true to me now? And that's why it ripens with that full moon, but it's like a larger theme that you're in right now is, oh, wait, who am I? And really being with that, because what tends to come up, remember that the sun is moving through your rising sign, Taurus. So it's illuminating these questions around who am I and where am I going? And these can be very contemplative times, like where we really want to go inward and just listen and be with and honor how we are with our lives. And a lot of what can come up across Aries Taurus, I have found to be true, is with this kind of beginning of the zodiac again, we become aware of like something that's really frustrating us, something that is not going to, like, something that wants to change. There's an agitation sometimes. It's like a sense of a dissonance of like, I don't like the way this feels. And this is showing up to reveal something that I call the emergent no, a no that is emerging from the surface of your awareness. And it may have been there for a long time, but you had good reasons for not seeing it yet. And now it's showing up. And this is showing up as a clarifier, as a boundary, as a snip snip. It could be different for everyone. And I have an entire workshop on this that's free with a PDF full of journaling and guidance. It's called Abundance Begins with No, and I'm putting it in the show notes because if this is coming up for you, I think you're going to be really glad that you have this. It's going to help you get to the other side to what's being born through you right now. We have to go through this no process. So this sense of you wanting to like shore things up, make things more potent, make things more in present time, shift the structure is not always that easy because it may mean that relationally, habit wise, creation wise, things in our lives that we have stewarded, things in our lives that we have tended and we've cared for may need to be seriously updated or go. And so there can be grief here because it's In order to be true to what's actually alive for you now, you may need to change some things. Like really sit down in the values of who I am now. Who am I now? And that may mean that, like, the way of being that has been just fine is just no longer fine. And this energy may be peaking the 14th through the 16th of just like peak awareness. It's time. I'm naming it. I'm not afraid to name this. I'm not afraid to stand in the face of what I know is true. That's a big one. That's a big one. It's a big one. There are many reasons why we might choose to not be with this and dissociate from it. So, sending a big hug for whatever it might bring up, it might be like a very exciting, super creative experience where you're just like so glad to see, oh, it's this that's the problem. Let's cut this out. And it feels great, you know? I think it depends on your relationship to shame and how much you may shame your desire to snip, snip. You know, that's going to be the determiner of how the realization feels. So this is really, really, really important for you to honor and to do it in a way that feels really good to you. So there's no urgency here. You don't have to decide immediately. You can be with this as long as you want. The clarity is coming though. All right. The winds then begin to change after the middle of the month. We have a lot of planets changing sign. It's like, whoa, the energy is different, which is very fun because you start to see things from another perspective. And it's like, oh, I'm not in that thing that was like really taking my attention so much. I'm now in another thing. So it will start to shift, especially if you've really been honoring what you've been kind of deep, deep in contemplation with for the prior 2 weeks. And now you can start to kind of play a little bit with the new energy. So, what what's coming in after that is some like larger, what we sometimes call WTF astrology. There might be some big collective shocks. I mean, we're no stranger to these days. So, I don't imagine it's any worse than normal, but it might be a little weak there around the 21st, the 26th, where you might want to have a little extra padding. You might want to take some space. You might want to think about how you're going to care for yourself and just like have kind of like awareness that it is harder to be executive when there's a lot going on in our lives that was a surprise to us because it could also bring a lot of personal surprises. It's one of those weeks where you could go into the 21st through the 26th and you had no idea that these things are going to be coming up, but here they are. And we're getting really used to these kinds of weeks being alive these days. So you know yourself, what would feel good? What would feel good so that you can stay with the things that you're giving birth to. You can stay with the things that you're letting go. You can stay with your creative life, even in the midst of all of these shifts. Like, what do you need to be informed? And then how can you ritualize that so that it doesn't take your entire day every day? And, I think part of what you're going to be learning in the second half of the month is really like, what do you need to give yourself? But also, like, how are you the abundant giver or the resource of what is important to you? This could be a really powerful time across the second half of the month to really be tuning into yourself as a resource. for others. Shame can get in the way here when we think that we don't have anything to give other people, that we don't make impacts, that we're invisible, that nobody cares what we have to give. We have this shame that we carry around that can make this very hard to be with. So, awareness around that. But you do have something that you may have many things that you're here to give to the world, that you are a resource for, that you yourself and your very being are a resource. And it's a beautiful time, like after the evaluating that you've been doing, for you to be really tapped into that, tapped into yourself as a resource and get into it, like really get into it because this is what you have. What you have is what you can give. So you do get into it, I would say. Then at the very end of the month, we've got that full moon, and that full moon is going to be, I think, really, really lovely. Going to be giving us a lot of wisdom. It's going to be teaching us a lot about the larger pattern of our life and noticing like how in everything that we go through, the support appears, the resources appear, the teacher appears, the friend appears, the just right opportunity appears. That even in situations that we didn't want to have to go through, that weren't fair, that were absurd, there's still stuff that comes to us to help us, grow, to help us deepen into our own knowing, to help us grow compassion, to help us be more fully into ourselves and to reveal ourselves to ourselves. It's really a time at the very end of the month there to sit and wonder with that. Like, wonder, be in awe that in spite of everything that we go through, there's still support, there's still care. And maybe it's not even just in spite of it, it's because of it. Like the world is a mysterious place. And it's a really good moment to be in deep contemplation around that. So thank you so much, Taurus Rising, inviting you to make a plan with yourself to listen again in a few weeks, because then you will be in it and you can really tune into the message from the place of being already in it. And so there'll be more treasure for you when you do that. And I will see you in June.